So the first one. Which group was led by Brian Ferry in the 1970s? A, Dire Straits, B, Pink Floyd, C, Roxy Music, or D, The Faces? Okay, nice and easy, I think. Question number 2. What shoes were first worn by North American Indians? A, clogs, B, Birkenstocks, I love this, C, Uggs, or D, moccasins? Okay, round 1, question number 3. What was Sarah, Duchess of York's maiden name? Was she A, Phillips, B, Cavendish, C, Rhys-Jones, or D, Ferguson? Okay, nice and easy so far, I think. Number 4, round 1. Natural rubber comes from which source? A, trees, B, coal, C, I should do this for a living, C, oil, or D, clay? Natural rubber comes from which source? Trees, coal, oil, or clay? So that's round 1. They do get a bit harder. In fact, by the end, unless you're Lithuanian, they become completely impossible, but you'll see. Round 2. What does the P stand for in the abbreviation OAP? What does the P stand for in the abbreviation OAP? A, public, B, pensioner, C, person, or D, parent? Okay, question number 2. In the phrase, if Grace is amazing and Polly is pretty, what is Lizzie? If Grace is amazing and Polly is pretty, what is Lizzie? A is dizzy, B is dozy, C is busy, and D is lazy. Dizzy, dozy, busy, or lazy? Okay, number 3. Who sang the song I Will Always Love You in The Bodyguard? Great film. Who sang I Will Always Love You in The Bodyguard? A, Whitney Houston, B, Mariah Carey, C, Gladys Knight, or D, Diana Ross? Whitney Houston, Mariah Carey, Gladys Knight, or Diana Ross? Song was written by Dolly Parton, but who sang it in the film? Okay, one more. Which of these birds can fly? A, penguin, B, puffin, C, ostrich, or D, kiwi? Which of these birds can fly? Penguin, puffin, ostrich, or kiwi? Okay, round 3. This is very strange for me, doing it with no audience and nobody's coughing. What is the total number of spots on a standard dice? Total number of spots on a standard dice. Go on, count them in your brain. A, 15, B, 20, C, 21, D, 28. The total number of spots on a standard dice. 15, 20, 21, or 28? Okay, question number 2. In a Punch and Judy show, what kind of creature is Toby? I told you they get harder. In a Punch and Judy show, what kind of creature is Toby? A is a crocodile, B is a mouse, C is a monkey, or D is a dog? Punch and Judy, what kind of creature is Toby? Okay, one more. I've travelled on these as well. I've filmed these. What are Japan's high-speed trains called? A, rocket trains. B, bullet trains. C, greyhound trains. Or D, eagle trains. Japan's high-speed trains. Are they rocket trains? Are they bullet trains? Are they greyhound trains? Or are they eagle trains? Good luck. Okay. One more. What was Margaret Thatcher's middle name? Now, was she a Harriet? Was she a Hilda? Was she a Hyacinth? Or was she a Helga? Margaret Thatcher's middle name. Was she Margaret Harriet Thatcher? Was she Margaret Hilda Thatcher? Was she Margaret Hyacinth Thatcher? Or was she Margaret Helga Thatcher? It's one of those. Okay. So rounds 1, 2, and 3. So that's 12 questions we've asked. Now, 12 out of 12 is quite good going. 8 out of 12's okay. 6 out of 12's probably about average, 6 or 7. And below that, well, you've got a long night. So these are the answers. Let's have a look. All proceeds go to Swings and Smiles tonight. Please make donations on the website, either during the quiz or afterwards. It's a tough old year for all charities, and particularly for them. So let's have a look. We asked the group led by Brian Ferry, and it was, of course, Roxy Music, Virginia Playing and all that. So that's the first one. North American Indians did not wear Birkenstocks or Uggs. They wore moccasins. Number 3, Sarah, Duchess of York's maiden name was Sarah Ferguson. And natural rubber comes from trees, from rubber trees. So you should have got 4 out of 4. The P in OAP doesn't stand for old age public or old age parent, but for old age pensioner. Pretty straightforward, I think. If it's Amazing Grace and Pretty Polly, it's Busy Lizzie. So the word we wanted was busy, Busy Lizzie. Whitney Houston song, I Will Always Love You, huge hit both sides of the Atlantic. It was, of course, she also starred in the film with Kevin Costner in The Bodyguard. Whitney Houston, wonderful, the late Whitney Houston, very sad. And which bird of the 4 we showed you can fly? The other 3 can't, certainly penguins can't. The puffins can fly. Puffins fly very well. Quite a sort of darting little acrobatic flight. Okay, one more, let's have a look. So this is round 3. The number of spots on a standard dice, so you've got 6, 5, 4, and all that, is 21. I wonder how many of you knew this. Toby is actually my son, but if he ever appears in Punch and Judy, he would be a dog. Not a crocodile, not a string of sausages. He'd be the dog. Japan's high street trains. Japan's high-speed trains are called bullet trains. They are the most beautiful, wonderful trains. Just they're shaped on the flight of the kingfisher. They're supposed to the Japanese guy who actually created them, designed them. They're actually in the shape with the long nose of a kingfisher, and they go at the most amazing speed. We filmed them in Japan. We filmed one traveling along at 208 miles an hour. It was completely silent inside the carriage. We had coffee, only coffee, and we had coffee that didn't spill a drop, and it was just noiseless. The train even smelt nice. They sort of pump in lavender and stuff through the aircon. How many times have you got on a train in this country and gone, oh, this one smells really nice? And one more, Margaret Thatcher. Her middle name was not Hyacinth or Harriet. It's actually Hilda, Margaret Hilda Thatcher, the daughter of a grocer. So how'd you do? Okay, going on. Round 4. You should have got something like 12 out of 12, but you may well be lying. Of course, we can't check, but it's fun. It's fun tonight. How many squares are there on a drafts board? A, 495. B, 64. C, 91. Or D, 100. How many squares on a drafts board? 495A, 64B, 91C, or 100D? Okay, next one. What did the Romans call a marketplace or a square? Did they call it A, the Curia? Did they call it B, the Basilica? Did they call it C, the Forum? Or was it D, the Nomen? So was it a Curia? This is the, it's gone, okay, Curia, it's come back, good. Curia, the speed of light. Curia, a Basilica. C, the Forum, or D, the Nomen? What the Romans called a marketplace. Okay, next one. In Australia, the Melbourne Cup, pronounced Melbourne, not Melbourne, Melbourne, you have to say Melbourne. The Melbourne Cup is the biggest event in which sport? Now, is it rugby? Is it Aussie rules football? Huge sport in Australia. Is it horse racing? Or is it cricket? A, rugby, B, Aussie rules football, C, horse racing, or D, cricket? That's the Melbourne, the Melbourne Cup, the biggest event in sport in Australia. But which one of those sports is it? Okay, next one. Who lived at Dove Cottage in the Lake District? Now, was it Wordsworth? Was it Darwin? Was it Shaw, George Bernard Shaw, or was it Keats? Dove Cottage in the Lake District. Wordsworth, Darwin, Shaw, or Keats? Okay. So if any of you did get 12 out of 12, you now should have got 16. Or then again, you may not. Round 5 is this. What is at the center of the solar system? A, the moon, B, the sun, C, the earth, or D, the planet Mercury? The center of the solar system, what is it? What's at the center? The moon, the sun, the earth, or the planet Mercury? Okay. Next one. Anytime you like. It's all right, they're really fast on the figure out there. How many animals are there in the Chinese calendar? Is it 3? A. Is it 12? B. Is it 17? C. Or is it D? 40? Animals in the Chinese calendar. Is it A, 3? Is it B, 12? Is it C, 17? Or is it D, 40? Okay, next one. Which year saw 3 different monarchs? This is a good question, I like this. On the throne of England, 3 different monarchs on the throne of England. Was it A, 1901? Was it B, 1910? Was it C, 1936? Was it D, 1952? Which year saw 3 different monarchs on the throne of England? 1901, 1910, 1936, or 1952? Okay. One more. Which TV character? An horse called Hercules. A horse called Hercules. Was it A, Dick Turpin? Was it B, Ross Poldark? I bet there are some people screaming at their screens. Is it C, Harold Steptoe? Or is it D, Lucy Ewing? It's an unlikely quartet, isn't it? One of them had a horse called Hercules. Is it A, Dick Turpin, B, Ross Poldark, C, Harold Steptoe, or D, Lucy Ewing? Remember her, strange little character with no neck. Okay, so let's have a look. So now potentially you could have got 20 points. The number of squares on a draft board is 64. The Romans called their marketplace not the basilica or the nomen or the curio, it was the forum. At the center of the solar system is the sun. The number of animals in the Chinese calendar is 12. The year England had 3 different monarchs on the throne. Now that was 1936 when Edward abdicated and George VI took over, and Edward became king very briefly because his father George V had died. So when George V, Edward, who abdicated, that's right, and then George VI. And the TV character who had a horse called Hercules was Harold Steptoe. Harold Steptoe. Okay, did we get all those answers, by the way, team, back there at base? I think we skipped some. Yeah, can we just say this again? Thank you, well done. The number of squares on a draft board is 64, we've done that. Romans called a marketplace a forum. The Melbourne Cup is an event in horse racing, and the person who lived at Dove Cottage was William Wordsworth. So that's the end of round 5. Please keep, I should be able to look at the screen soon and tell you how the donations are going on, but please donate on the website to Swings and Smiles, who do such great work for not just kids with, special needs, but the whole family. And they welcome the whole family. It's a place, a lot of the families say without Swings and Smiles, they would really, their week would not at all be satisfactory, and it would be very difficult, quite often on the brothers and sisters. And it's somewhere they can go where they don't feel maybe a bit ill at ease, or they can talk to other people who have similar problems. So please donate tonight to Swings and Smiles, and I keep putting that address up. So round 6, here we go. You should have got 20 out of 20 so far. What was the name of the character played by, I love this film, by Sigourney Weaver in Alien? What was the name of the character played by Sigourney Weaver in Alien? When she got back into the spaceship and thought it was all okay. Oh, it's a wonderful film. A, Dallas. B, Ripley. C, Lampert. Or D, Parker. The name of the character played by Sigourney Weaver in Alien. Not Alien 2, 3, 5 or whatever, just the first classic film. Dallas, Ripley, Lampert or Parker. Okay, round 6, number 2. Which artist had the 3rd highest selling single in the UK for the whole of the 1960s? Think about that, the 3rd highest selling single in the UK for the whole of the 1960s. So was it the Rolling Stones? Was it Ken Dodd? Was it the Beatles? Or was it Jerry and the Pacemakers? The 3rd highest selling single in the UK for the whole of the 60s. I think we can probably guess who had the first number 1, but who had the 3rd highest selling single? Rolling Stones, Ken Dodd, Beatles, or Jerry and the Pacemakers? Okay, next one. Which cartoon character does Wile E. Coyote normally chase? Which cartoon character does Wile E. Coyote normally chase? A, Pepe Le Pew. B, Roadrunner. C, Foghorn Leghorn. Or D, Porky Pig. God, I just remembered in the former life, I used to play so many Porky Pig cartoons. Wile E. Coyote, who does he normally chase? Pepe Le Pew, Roadrunner, Foghorn Leghorn, or Porky Pig? Okay. Hans Holbein was the court painter to which monarch? A, William III. B, Henry VIII. C, Elizabeth I. Or D, George IV. So William III, Henry VIII, Elizabeth I, or George IV? Hans Holbein. Round 7. Let's have a look. They are getting a bit harder. I think they're reasonably straightforward, but I've seen the answer, so it's not fair. Which of these British birds has brilliant greenish blue and orange plumage? British bird, greenish blue and orange plumage. Brilliant greenish blue. A, the kingfisher. B, the osprey. C, the chaffinch. Or D, the swallow. Brilliant greenish blue and orange plumage. Is it A, the kingfisher, B, the osprey, C, the chaffinch, or D, the swallow? One of those. Which Scottish town is known as the home of golf? A, St David's, B, St Andrews, C, St Patrick's, or D, St George's? One of those. 4 patron saints. Which Scottish town is known as the home of golf? A, St David's, B, St Andrews, C, St Patrick's, or D, St George's? One of them. Now you may or may not know this. Who won an Oscar? It's a while back, but very famous event. Who won an Oscar for The Godfather, but refused to accept it? A, Marlon Brando, B, Al Pacino, C, Robert De Niro, or D, Diane Keaton? Now, they all, of course, appeared in The Godfather, but one of them would not accept the Oscar. Marlon Brando, A, Al Pacino, B, Robert De Niro, C, or D, Diane Keaton? One of them. One more this round. In a poem by Edward Lear, what did the pobble, what am I doing with my life? In a poem by Edward Lear, what did the pobble lose while swimming in the English Channel? Now, what was it? A, his trunks. B, his toes. C, his hat. Or D, his fingers? Poem by Edward Lear, what did Pobble lose while swimming in the English Channel? A, his trunks. I say he, I've always assumed he was a male. If he'd lost his trunks, we might have found out. B, his toes. C, his hat. Or D, his fingers? So let's have a look at the answers. Round 6 and 7. So a maximum now of 28 points, and I bet you didn't get all of these. In Alien, Sigourney Weaver's name was Ripley. Question 2 this round, I find just extraordinary. The third, just think about this, the third highest selling UK single in the whole of the 1960s, with the Beatles, the Stones, Jerry, so many bands, Led Zeppelin, etc., etc., etc. The third highest selling single was Tears by Ken Dodd. And he actually, he came third below She Loves You by the Beatles, I Want to Hold Your Hand by the Beatles, then Tears, then it was all Beatles. The fourth was Can't Buy Me Love, and the fifth was I Feel Fine. He also beat Hey Jude, loads of them. All You Need Is Love, Help, and It's Been a Hard Day's Night were all beaten for sales by the late extraordinary Ken Dodd. I love that fact. It's completely useless, but I just think it's a brilliant fact. Number 3 of this round, Wile E. Coyote is always chasing Neep Neep Roadrunner, nice and easy. And Holbein was the court painter to Henry VIII. He famously painted a picture of Anne of Cleves, who apparently was truly hideous. And Henry VIII said, "You have brought me the picture of a Flanders mare." So he was the court painter to Henry VIII. Okay. The brilliant British bird, blue, green, but brilliant colours. I saw one this afternoon, actually, is a kingfisher. The Scottish town that is home to golf is, of course, St Andrews. Marlon Brando won the Oscar for The Godfather, I think, pretty obviously, I think, as Best Male Actor, but didn't accept it. He was protesting against the rights of native Indians in America. He always insisted they were treated very badly, and particularly in Westerns, because they're always the baddie and they all get shot at the end or whatever. And because of that, he refused point blank to accept his Oscar and didn't turn up. And the pobble didn't lose his trunks, thank God for that. He lost his toes. So that's the end of that round. Now, just remind you, because this is why we're here, this is what we're doing, what we do. All this is about all the proceeds tonight, and I hope there's lots and lots and lots. Please, any donation at all, large or small, but whatever. We just like donations, really, to Swings and Smiles. I've been involved with them for a long time now. They do extraordinary work. They started with virtually nothing, no facilities, no help, and they built it into this wonderful place. The place to play down the road in Thatcham is their home. It's currently under lockdown, so you know that's obviously given them lots and lots of problems, but the families need it more than ever. The families, the disadvantaged kids, the brothers, the sisters, everybody needs more and more. There's a lot of problems this year with, obviously, with mental health as well, as this lockdown goes on and on. It's putting an extra strain on the families. The staff decided that no matter what happened this year, and what has happened really has happened to so many charities, virtually nothing. Funds were just not coming in. Most of the events we'd planned for this year as fundraisers have been cancelled, or certainly postponed, probably cancelled. You know, fingers crossed for the rest of the year. So they said, whatever happens, we're going to continue to serve the families. They've been doing more and more and more online, all sorts of virtual things. They've got virtual timetables now, which actually gives a lot of the families and the children a real, you know, a proper structure to their lives. It's one of my favourite charities. You can probably hear it in my voice, but I think what they do is quite extraordinary. And for some of the kids and some of the mums as well, things like the online music club is actually, they actually say it's the only thing that makes the lockdown just about bearable. So please, please, please donate to the website. It'll come up on your screen, I don't think here anyway. But basically, whatever you can give us, all proceeds tonight go to this extraordinary character. All proceeds tonight go to the extraordinary characters down there at Swings and Smiles, who run this, I think, quite exceptional charity for these kids. And it's grown and grown and grown, but this is a really tough year for them to keep it going. I know they will, because they're wonderful people. Okay, so we've done 7 rounds. I wonder how you're doing. You could, in theory, have got 28, but I suspect nobody's got 28. So 4 more rounds. Let's see how we go. So round 8. Question number 1 of round 8, have a look. Which of these animals is not a reptile? A, lizard. B, crocodile. C, toad. Or D, snake. One of those is not a reptile. That's quite hard. A, lizard. B, crocodile. C, toad. Or D, snake. Okay, round 8. Question number 2. Which fictitious sailor was captain of the Black Pig? This was some of the worst animation, cheapest animation ever. A, Captain Pugwash. B, Long John Silver. C, Black Jack. Or D, Popeye. Which fictitious sailor was captain of the Black Pig? A, Captain Pugwash. B, Long John Silver. C, Black Jack. Or D, Popeye. Okay, next one. In which country does the Bosphorus Bridge join Europe and Asia? I've been over this many times for holiday and filming. But where was I? The Bosphorus Bridge, it joins Europe and Asia. Well, what country? A, Israel. B, Greece. C, Albania. Or D, Turkey. One of them. Israel, Greece, Albania, or Turkey. Round 8, next one. Found in northern England and Scotland, what are fells? F-E-L-L-S, what are fells? Heard of places like Shap Fell, but what is it? Northern England, Scotland, what are fells? A, lakes. B, woods. C, streams. Or D, hills. What are those? What are fells? Are they lakes? Are they woods? Are they streams, or are they hills? Round, I wonder, it's really weird this not being able to see the other. I just wonder what the expressions on your faces are. Probably smug, or possibly not, looking in horror. Okay, 4 more rounds, 9, 10, 11, 12, 4 more rounds. Round 9. Who was the first DJ to be heard on Radio 1? Was it the late, splendid, wonderful Terry Wogan, A? Was it B? My mate, I worked with him for years, Kenny Everett. Was it C, Bruno Brooks? Or was it D, Tony Blackburn? First DJ to be heard on Radio 1. A, Terry Wogan. B, Kenny Everett. C, Bruno Brooks. Or D, Tony Blackburn. One of them. What is the name of the peninsula occupied by Spain and Portugal? So you know where they are. They're all 2 of them in that peninsula. What's it called? Is it A, the Balearic Peninsula? Is it B, the Hispanic Peninsula? Is it C, the Lisboa Peninsula? Or is it D, the Iberian Peninsula? Balearic, Hispanic, Lisboa, or Iberian? It's one of them. Okay, next one. Which of these star signs is represented by a human being? Aquarius, A. B, Leo. C, Pisces. Or D, Capricorn. You have to think about what their sign is and what depicts it. A, Aquarius, got to be a human being. B, Leo. C, Pisces. Or D, Capricorn. Okay, next one. In the Bible, this makes me laugh. I'm sorry, it just amuses me. What was the weapon used by David to slay Goliath? Was it A, a lance? Was it B, an arrow? Was it C, a sling? Or was it D, a gun? Would have been handy. In the Bible, what was the weapon used by David to slay the giant Goliath? A, lance. B, arrow. C, sling. Or D, gun. Okay, let's have a look at the answers. Just love the idea of David with his gun. Maybe the right answer, we'll find out in a second. The creature that is not a reptile of those 4, the others were things like snake and lizard. Toad. The captain of the Black Pig was Captain Pugwash. Bosporus is the name of the bridge that joins Europe and Asia, and it's in Turkey. And fells, like Shapfell, they're hills. They're not streams, they're hills. Okay, next one. First DJ on Radio 1 was Tony Blackburn. God bless us all. And he's never stopped talking since. I think the first record, was The Move. I can't remember. I think it was Fire Brigade. I can't remember. But I know it was Tony Blackburn. That's sensational. And I'm pretty sure the first record was The Move. Spain and Portugal joined together on that peninsula. What's it called? It's called the Iberian Peninsula. The star sign represented by a human is Aquarius. And the weapon used by David to slay Goliath wasn't a gun. It was a sling. He hit him right between the eyes with a stone from his sling. Okay. So, 3 more rounds. They are getting harder. I don't know. Actually, the last one wasn't that hard. I don't think probably nobody wrote gun. So 3 more rounds, 12 rounds in all. All proceeds go to Swings and Smiles, which you probably gathered by now is just the nicest place with the nicest people. And they do amazing work. And lots of people say, without Swings and Smiles and what they do, we really don't know how we'd handle life with, 1 or sometimes 2 disadvantaged kids. They're wonderful people. So please, put your hands in your pocket and we'll take whatever we can tonight. And if not, we'll just have a nice time anyway. So round 10, let's have a look. In which London park is the Serpentine? A, Green Park. B, St James's Park. C, Regent's Park. Or D, Hyde Park. One of those. How well do you know your capital city? Which London park is the Serpentine? A, Green Park. B, St James's Park. C, Regent's Park. Or D, Hyde Park. In what body of water is the Isle of Man? You can picture it, can't you? But what's the water? What's it called all around the Isle of Man? A, the North Sea. B, the Irish Sea. C, Cardigan Bay. Or D, the Bristol Channel. I'll give you that again. I think that's quite a toughie. In what body of water is the Isle of Man? A is the North Sea. B is the Irish Sea. C is Cardigan Bay. Or D, Bristol Channel. The Isle of Man is in one of those bodies of water. Okay, round 9, next one. Which king in the legend tried to turn back the sea? Now, was it A, King Herod? Was it B, King Canute? Was it C, King John? Or D, King Arthur? King Herod, A. King Canute, B. King John, C. Or King Arthur, D. In legend, tried to turn back the sea. And funnily enough, it didn't work. Okay, next one. Which Dad's Army actor had a #1 hit record? And it was, as you would suspect, truly, truly dreadful. Which Dad's Army actor had a #1 hit record? Was it A, Arthur Lowe? Was it B, John Le Mesurier? Was it C, Pikey? Was it Ian Lavender? Or was it D, Clive Dunn, Corporal Jones? So one of those had a #1. Arthur Lowe, A. John Le Mesurier, B. Ian Lavender, C. Or Clive Dunn, D. Okay. Round number 11. I'll give the answers to the last 2 rounds in a minute. Let's have a look at these. Round number 11. St Matthew is the patron saint of which of these professions? Now, A, is it the patron saint of doctors? B, is it the patron saint of dentists? Is he C, the patron saint of estate agents? Do they have one? Or D, is he the patron saint of tax collectors? Do they have one? Do they deserve one? St Matthew is the patron saint of one of those. Doctors, A. Dentists, B. Estate agents, C. Or tax collectors, D. Okay, 2 more. What was the name of Rigsby's cat? It's not easy to say. What was the name of Rigsby's cat in Rising Damp? Wonderful, wonderful series. So was the cat called Vienna, A. Beethoven, B. Sophia, C. Or was it D, called Chelsea? I can picture the blooming thing, but what was it called? A, Vienna, Rigsby's cat. B, Beethoven. C, Sophia. Or D, Chelsea. Okay, next one. I told you they get harder. How many US states begin with the word new? I'll give you a bit of time on this to think what they are. We don't need the names. We just need to know how many. US states beginning with the word new. Now, is it A, 4? Is it B, 5? Just having a cup of coffee, trying not to spill it. Is it C, 6? Or is it D, 7? US states beginning with the word new. Slurp. I bet there's some screaming going on in some of your houses. A, 4. B, 5. C, 6. Or D, 7. I will tell you the answer, and I will tell you the name of the States. Okay, next one. What was the full first name of gangster Al Capone? What was the full first name of gangster Al Capone? Everybody called him Al. But what was his Christian name? You look at these, no wonder he got rid of them. Whichever one it was. Was he Alan? A. Was he B. Alfredo Capone? Was he C. Alphonse Capone? Or was he D. Alberto Capone? He was one of these. The full first name of gangster Al Capone. A. Alan. B. Alfredo. C. Alphonse. Or D. Alberto. One of them. Okay, let's have a look. Round 12, and then I'll give you the answers for all these last 3 rounds. What is the name of the highest waterfall in North America? A. Niagara. B. Horseshoe. C. Yosemite. Or D. Victoria. The highest waterfall in North America. I think I've been to all 4 of these and they're all enormous, but which is the highest? Niagara A, Horseshoe B, Yosemite T, or Victoria D. One of them is the highest waterfall in the whole of North America. That obviously includes USA, Canada, Alaska. Okay, last round. They're getting harder. Next one. Which horse won the 2,000 guineas, the Derby and the St. Leger? What a horse. In 1970. And this was in my horse racing betting days. And this horse won lots and lots of races, but the odds were always so short, there was not much point putting much money on them. Unless you had lots of money, and I didn't. Which horse won the 2,000 guineas, the Derby and the St. Leger in 1970? I don't think any horse has ever done that since. A. Pinzer. B. Nijinsky. C. The Minstrel. Or D. Arkle. All great horses, actually, but which one? 1970. The 2,000 guineas, the Derby and the St. Leger. So what was the horse at 103? Pinzer, Nijinsky, the Minstrel, or Arkle? Okay, last round. This question, by area, which of these is the largest county? I think that's quite hard. A, Kent. B, Hampshire. C, Essex. Or D, Cornwall. So by area, which of these is the largest county? Kent, Hampshire, C, Essex, or D, Cornwall? Hard. Okay. This is the last question. I did say at the beginning, you probably won't get all 48 points tonight unless you're Lithuanian. And actually, even if you're Lithuanian, you might not know this. Which of these colours does not appear on the national flag of Lithuania? Now, is it A, blue, B, yellow, C, red, or D, green? It's one of these. Which of these colours does not appear on the national flag of Lithuania? If you got 47 right, you'd be really fed up now, wouldn't you? A, blue, B, yellow, C, red, D, green. Good luck. You've done well to persevere. That's the last question. 12 rounds, 48 questions, possible 48 points. So can I go back now and look at the last sets of answers? Rounds 10, 11, and 12. This is where you all start kicking each other. So going back, the Serpentine, we've asked you which part the Serpentine was in. The answer, of course, is Hyde Park. Isle of Man, a lot of people would have thought, I think a lot of people would have thought it's the North Sea. It's actually up there. It's called the Irish Sea. The buffoon, the fool, the king who tried to turn back the tide is King Canute. And the Dad's Army actor, who had a #1, was Clive Dunn. He had a quite dreadful thing called Grandad. And it was #1 for weeks. I've been sitting here all day thinking. It was truly dreadful, but it was #1 for about 4 years. No, it was #1 for quite a few weeks. Luckily, I was too young to have to play it. Okay, answers to the next round. St. Matthew, of course he is. The patron saint, what a gig. The patron saint of tax collectors. He'd be very popular. Rigsby's cat. Rigsby's cat in Rising Damp was called Vienna. The number of US states beginning with new, we didn't want the names, we just wanted the number. The number is actually 4. And it's, I'm just trying to remember, it's New Jersey, pronounced Jersey. So it's New Jersey, it's New Hampshire, it's New Mexico, and it's New York. That's it, New Jersey, New Hampshire, New Mexico, New York. So there's 4. And no one, his mother must have hated him. His real name was actually Alphonse, and anybody who used it to his face was almost certainly shot. So Al Capone, one of the most terrifying gangsters of all time, his real name was Alphonse Capone. Okay, now these are the last set of answers for the very last round, and you can start totting up how well you've done. And please, I will nag you one more time before we finish, but thanks for looking in tonight. I've enjoyed it. I hope you have. And all proceeds go to Swings and Smiles, which is a wonderful charity, who do amazing things for families with a kid or kids with special needs. They're quite extraordinary what they do. The highest waterfall in North America is not Niagara, but Yosemite. The 1970 Wonder Horse, who won the 2000 Guinness, the Derby, and the St. Leger, was Nijinsky. Just amazing, almost freakish horse. Wonderful, wonderful creature. The largest county out of Kent, Cornwall, Hampshire, and Essex is Hampshire. The largest county in the whole of England is actually Yorkshire, but the largest county out of Kent, this could go terribly wrong. The largest county out of Kent, Cornwall, Hampshire, and Essex is Hampshire. And the very last one, I bet you all got this one, dream on. The colour that does not appear on the national flag of Lithuania is, of course, blue. And I will be quite truthful, I haven't got the foggiest. The colour that does not appear on the national flag of Lithuania is blue. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you did well. If you didn't, it doesn't really matter. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. We hope you had a nice time. Swings and Smiles, I keep telling you, is a wonderful charity, does so much for kids with special needs, support, certainly, friendship and play. And this year of all years in the lockdown has been harder than ever. It's been harder than ever for the families, but it's also been harder than ever for the staff, all sorts of fundraisers have been cancelled, all sorts of things that we were involved in have been put off. Hopefully one or two of them will be postponed. One or two of the nicer ideas will probably disappear forever or maybe next year. If you would like to support the charity, please send us donations, large or small. Large is good, to swingsandsmiles.co.uk/appeal. And obviously this particular year, if you could go through and put COVID-19 response appeal, we'd be grateful for that as well. But they are a wonderful charity, and I just hope we raise lots of money tonight. I hope you had a nice time. I thoroughly enjoyed it. If you did have a nice time, I was Chris Tarrant, and if you didn't, I was Chris Evans. Bye-bye.